Hey everybody, it is lividfray, and I hope you're all doing well today. Thank you so much for your patience during my current pause of uploads. They will start coming in routinely. I apologize for the wait, but let's go ahead and get right into this week's just the good stuff, where I show you only the good stuff from the vendor restocks each week. Starting off right here inside the terminal, there actually is a pretty decent black market AK-47 here, with Brutal, Unforgiving, and Ferocious. In my personal opinion, you could roll off Unforgiving here for something along the lines of like Vicious or Destructive would probably be the best option here. So Brutal, Destructive, and Ferocious. I would highly recommend using this on... You could use this actually on a Striker build for PvE if you wanted to. It's got some really good rolls. But I personally would use this with something like Predator, because if you hit those headshots on those heavies, you're going to proc that really high bleed amount because it's going to be taking in the effect of Destructive as well as Ferocious. So would definitely recommend this for a Predator build, but it could also work for something like Striker if you wanted to make that work as well. Our next stop is going to be up at Camp Clinton as usual. Alright, we made it over here to Camp Clinton. This vendor is going to be selling a performance mod for us this week for self-heal. Like I said, we get these pretty much all the time, but I do like to recommend them when we get them because it is a pain when you don't have them and you need them. So I would definitely recommend picking up some of these if you have not had any maxed out self-heal mods drop for you lately. Our next safe room is going to be Southpaw. Alright, we've made it to the Southpaw safe room. This vendor is going to be selling a damage to elite mod for us this week at 207 electronics, 3% damage to elites. Granted, it's not that godly 4% that we had last week. I hope you guys picked up some of those, but this is still an excellent option, especially because it's over 200 for electronics. So I would definitely recommend throwing these on your tactician offensive damage skill builds. I have had a lot of people asking me lately if these are worth running over electronics skill power mods, and the short answer is yes, but it also kind of depends on the content that you're doing. I just, on my main character originally, I had two builds. One was a high skill power electronics build, and one of them was a damage to elites build. But eventually I just ended up deleting the other build, and this is the primary one that I use now, mainly because this one is just more viable most of the time. Both of them certainly have their pros and cons, but in my opinion, the damage to elites mods just make such a huge impact for most gameplay that I do. Granted, if you're doing more challenging stuff or, open world stuff, this might not be the best option, but I still recommend doing these over the other build any day, depending on the content that you play. Now, with all that being said, let's go ahead and visit our first Dark Zone vendor, which is going to be here at 5th Avenue. There's unfortunately not too much going on this week, but it does kind of shine in the blueprints a little bit, but I'll get to that a little bit later. But here at DZ 5th Avenue, we do have an ally heal mod for sale. 6% first aid ally heal. I really like to recommend these for your final measure healer builds or your the tactician support builds that utilizes the pulse and the heal. These are perfect to be throwing on because it's going to give that defib, that extra strength for your allies. So I would definitely recommend throwing these on. I run these on my final measure healers. I have a final measure healer build, I think, on 2 of my 3 characters, so I definitely recommend using these. Because the pulse mods that you throw on, I believe, to my knowledge, they only work for you. They don't actually increase the pulse for your teammates as well. So if you guys want to correct me on that if I'm wrong, but to my knowledge, that is only personal use. So I would definitely recommend ally heal mods instead over pulse. Our next stop is going to be the DZ3 safe room. So I've just gone to the checkpoint. I will meet you guys at the safe room. Alright, I've made it to the Dark Zone 3 safe room. This vendor is selling an X45 this week with Expert and Toxic. I would recommend rolling off Expert here and doing something along the lines of Brutal or Determined. I would buy this if I had the credits for it, but I'm still broke from those M44s the other week. I do need to get in here eventually and farm some more credits, but if you are looking for a good X45 for your Sentry builds, I would definitely recommend buying this one this week. I do have my build finished for the most part. I want to do a video for it. A lot of you guys have been asking for it, especially during my live streams. So I will do one of those eventually. I'm trying to get back into the swing of making videos for you guys after the holidays. It's just been kind of hectic, but in the meantime, I would definitely recommend picking this one up if you're interested in a pistol shield sentry build. A lot of you guys have seen me using it. This is what I would recommend picking up in the meantime until I have a chance to go over that build some more. And unfortunately, the last thing that we have available this week is going to be at East 64th Street in the Dark Zone. If you guys are wanting some really good skill power electronics mods, these are the vendor that I would visit this week. 265 electronics, 3100 skill power. These are excellent to be throwing on your tactician builds that are utilizing any skills really, your offensive skill damage builds, or if you're looking for something for your reclaimer, or your tactician builds where you're more of a support with a pulse and a heal. These are great to be throwing on. I wish that I could buy a couple of these, but as I mentioned, I'm very broke, so I'm not going to be able to buy these, but I would buy these if I had the credits for them, although I do have quite a few mods like this. I don't believe that they are reaching this happy medium of a high electronics roll and a high skill power roll. So I would definitely recommend buying some of these while you're here. A huge thank you, as usual, to AWP for the footage for the blueprints. Our first blueprint here is a classic AK-47. I like to recommend these to craft for your Predator builds. I think it's the only AK blueprint that we have. There's also the electronics vest, very helpful for your vigorous chest pieces, rapid, anything that you want along those lines. We also have the stamina gear mod blueprint here, the firearms gear mod blueprint. You guys would actually be surprised at how many high-leveled mods that you can get just by crafting them, so for these gear mods, I highly recommend buying them. We also have the VX1 scope available again this week. I think it was last week as well. It is only power level 33, but unfortunately that's the highest power level that we get for the VX1 scopes. So after this, we're going to head over to Camp Clinton and check out those blueprints for sale. All right, the blueprints here at this vendor, we're going to start off with the Navy MP5N. This is a very solid weapon to be using if you don't have the house. I would recommend this one, the Navy MP5ST or the MP7. We also have firearms gloves available. I'd like to craft these every once in a while for the pair of Savage gloves that I'm looking for the build that I'm working on. We also have a Tyrant suppressor here. You can craft these to throw in your SMGs or your pistols. The Stamina Gear Mod Blueprint is here as well as the Performance Gear Mod Blueprint. You can go and craft these performance mods to fit any kind of build that you're currently theory crafting. Alright guys, that is what we have this week for this week's Just the Good Stuff vendor restock. Let me know if there's anything here that you guys are actually going to be picking up. I definitely would have picked up some of the stuff in the DZ if I would have had the credits for it, but this week was still pretty solid. I think it's another one of those quality over quantity type deals, just like last week. But if you did not like anything this week, there is always next week, agents. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I'll talk to you later.
Can't believe the bullshit that went down in the dark zone at the end there.
I know. We had it. Everything I told them was dead on. They made us pull out anyway.
And we left our dead behind.
Yeah, we're not supposed to do that. Hang on a second.